Well, greetings. So I'm perusing through YouTube. I see a video called An Insider's Tour of New York City's Most Horrible Slums. And this one is called The Hole on the Queens Brooklyn border, only a mile or so from JFK Airport. So let's go to the videotape, or well, at least my story will be the videotape. The area is about 30 feet lower than the surrounding area. Some people actually kayak down instead, and it is considered to be the most polluted air and water in New York City. The place is a total shithole. And well, you ask, why do I tell this story? On our trip to Italy back in October, we believed that we parked in this area as this was what the itinerary suggested since it was so close to JFK. We were not happy about the place that we parked in, and this particular area is not at all what we expected it to be. So if you ever have to park near JFK, do not park in this area. And you can't miss it. It's absolutely horrific and dreadful. And we arrived back after our trip. We were so glad to pay the guys and got the hell out of there. In a recent text exchange with a close friend of mine was comical as we're all starting to complain about our ailments and issues along with our wives' issues. And he texted me saying, how come our parents didn't warn us about growing up and aging? And I responded by saying, good point, but you know how life is, you have to deal with it and life can be challenging. The problem I had with my parents' suggestion is that the dealer is now winning the game by a large margin, and it's only going to get worse. I just wanted to mention that it has been extremely difficult viewing the news each day on the massive fires in LA. And I have a cousin there. My wife's sister lives there. We have friends there. My wife has a daughter-in-law there, and my son has one of his best friends in LA. And yet all of them were not impacted by the fires except for the fear that the fires could still impact them. And this has been a horrible and tragic incident, and we just can't process this amount of destruction. I can't imagine having to deal with your housing burned to the ground that maintained your daily existence and losing all of your belongings. It's unbelievably catastrophic. Your home is your life, and I once read that your home could potentially contain as many as 500,000 or more items in your house, including paperwork, etc. And imagine losing most or all of the things that maintain your daily life. And what becomes of your life if you lost most of what you had? It's just so horrendous and dreadful. And I don't know how the insurance companies are going to sort this out. My heart goes out to all the Angelinos, and Los Angeles is one of our most influential cities in our country, and that's quite obvious. So I'm going to reminisce about the late, great George Carlin and note that he died in 2008, so some of the material may seem a bit dated, but here goes. One of his pet peeves about his lack of understanding about motivation tapes/books, everyone has to be motivated. Either you want to do something or you don't, because if you're motivated enough to go to the store to buy a motivational book, aren't you motivated to do that? So you don't need the book, put it back, tell the court that I'm motivated enough, I'm going home. And there's way too many vehicles on the road. You see them on the highway in an RV, but that's not enough. They're towing a motorboat, a go-kart, a dune buggy, dirt bike, jet ski, snowmobile, parasail, hang glider, windsurfing equipment, a hot air balloon, and a small two-man deep sea diving bell. Doesn't anybody just take a walk anymore? And another tip for the grown men with their earring, it's over. It doesn't matter anymore. And don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of self-mutilation and personal disfigurement. There's nothing like puncturing and perforating your skin in a dozen or so places in order to demonstrate your high self-esteem. When I see a young man decorating his scalp with a soldering iron, I always say, now there's a happy guy. And then what about the guy that hears a voice in his head that tells him to kill his entire family so he does it? Is this the only thing a voice in his head ever says? Why doesn't the voice in his head tell him to go take a shit on the salad bar or Wendy's? Excuse my French. Another favorite of mine is shopping malls. It used to be a beautiful country, but now it's littered with major malls, mini malls, and then there's the mini marts, the car lots, the gas stations, the muffler shops, the laundromats, the cheap hotels, fast food joints, dirty bookstores, America the Beautiful, or as I call it, the transcontinental cesspool. And the worst part, it's just dandy. Why? Because that's the way they satisfy their two addictions, shopping and eating at the same time. You know what the national emblem should be: a big fat bowl of macaroni and cheese. And we have some very, very large people in this country, and they all wear the same t shirts, and they all say, I'm with stupid. Then they get into their big fat overstuffed SUV and shopping, of course, for jelly rolls and fried dough. It's all about consumption. And from here, George Carlin mentions the politicians that hide behind the flag, the Bible, and No Child Left Behind. Oh, really? It wasn't long ago giving kids a head start. It turned out to be that, that they were being left behind. Someone's losing ground here. It's never going to get better. The owners of the country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have owners and they own you. They own everything land, control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls, and the judges in their pocket. And they're all invested in the media companies. So they control all of the news and information. They got us by the balls. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. They don't want citizens capable of critical thinking. They want obedient workers accepting the shitty jobs and dumb enough to accept increasingly shittier jobs with longer hours and vanishing pensions. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. It's a big club and you ain't in it. Nobody seems to care. The owners know the truth. It's the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe in it. And that was all from George Carlin in his heyday. He does it better than I do. I noticed one morning that they were showing what the day was going to be like for the horoscopes. And it said I was going to have a perfectly imperfect day, whatever that means. And having an imperfect day is fine, but I tried to get a definition of imperfect, and this is what it said. The imperfect is used when the past action doesn't have a definite beginning or definite end. And anyway, it wasn't very clear, and we can move on. I never enjoyed this. I never enjoyed the saying, if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all. But it's a naive concept simply because in certain circumstances, it is necessary to call someone out. Though oddly enough, I most often tend to be nice to everyone, even when I should call them out. It is one of my many weaknesses, and I have quite a few more of them. And this is from none other than Dave Chappelle. His son calls him up at 1 a.m. in the morning and says, don't be mad because you told me to do this, but my designated driver got fired up and me and my friends are fucked up. So Dave got the address from his son, and I was shocked and I'm shit faced too. And I look at the address and he tells his son, son, you're not going to believe this, but I'm at the same party. And the Republicans always get in line, but if you're going to do this, you're not doing your job. There's no way in hell or on earth that you somehow all follow the leader, who is basically a clown act with no scruples or morality. He's an empty vessel. You're emulating the Lemmings, and if you don't know what a lemming is, look it up. Think independently. That's what you're supposed to do. God damn it, and I'm out.